Hello, everybody. Welcome back to A Person's Haven. My name is Lindsay. If you're new here, thank you for joining. If you are returning, thank you for returning. Sorry for all the noise in the background. I just got my washer and my dishwasher started, but I was super anxious to start this video because I am super excited. I have been waiting to make this video for 2 weeks to show you guys what's going on at our house. And today is the day that I finally have time. I just finished a batch of salsa and got that canned up. And I looked at the clock and I said, I have 2 hours left before bed. This is the time to do it. So come along with me. I'm going to show you what new things that we have in store here at our house and what exciting things are to come. All right, everybody. So my husband and I have this spare bedroom that we are going to turn into a spare bedroom slash storage pantry area. So let me show you our biggest excitement here. So about 2 weeks ago, my husband and I found this shelf. There's my little helper. Found the shelf on sale at Walmart. And we have been looking to get a shelf like this for a while. But we have held off on getting a shelf like this because they're so expensive. So when this one came up for sale, on sale, we jumped at it. So I am going to take you downstairs. I'm going to show you my current pantry situation that I have going on for my canned goods. And then we're going to move everything up here and fill this shelf. So come along with me for this adventure. All right, we are in my basement and this is the current situation we have. So we have this plastic shelf. It's hard to see because it's kind of tucked in there and there's a pole in the way. But it is full of canned goods and it is bowing in the center, as you can see. So I'm going to get this stuff moved upstairs. As you can see, there is quite a bit of dust on these jars just from being in the basement. The cat litter room is right next door, right over there. So I'm going to wipe off all these jars. We are going to get them on their new shelves and get them to their new home. All right, everybody, so I got everything moved up here, and I'm really glad I did because I found a few things that were bad that I wouldn't have known about unless I moved everything. I found some rings that are starting to rust because before this year I didn't realize you weren't supposed to store your canned items with rings on them. I grew up with my dad putting rings on, canning them, and leaving the rings on. So I have a bucket of water. And what I am going to do is I'm going to wipe everything down because most things are dusty. I'll go over what I have. We'll get things organized and then we will show you what it looks like at the end. I may not get this done tonight, but I do hope that eventually I'm going to have labels where everything is so that way on some of these higher shelves, I don't have to try to look at the top of something if it's not recognizable from the side. So that is my plan. I do need one more thing before I get started. So I'm going to pause here, go grab a Sharpie because I noticed that some of my jars are not labeled, but based on other things that I have labeled of the same thing, I know which year I made them and what it is. So I'm going to make sure I get everything labeled properly. So down the road, I know what it is. There is a whole bunch of stuff from 2021, which is a couple years old at this point. So we're going to be eating a lot of tomato soup this winter. But my goal is possibly in December, I guess maybe more so the beginning of January. I'm hoping to start a pantry challenge, which we'll talk about later, but all of this stuff will go to good use. So give me a second. Let me go grab that permanent marker and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, I am back. I have my permanent marker in hand, and I think I'm going to start with the bottom shelf. I have 2 full cases of tomato soup plus more tomato soup in these jars. So tomato soup is going to go on the bottom shelf. And the tomato soup is something that was canned in 2021. So this will need to get eaten. And this was also a product that was not wiped down because I didn't know that was a thing. And it was also a product that had rings on it. So these are the ones that are starting to have rust around the edges and rust on the top. So I'm going to get them wiped off the best I can. You can see that. And these are labeled, so I do not have to worry about labeling any of the soups. All right, everybody, we are back. My mom called. I had to chat with her for a bit. While I was chatting, I took my 2 boxes of tomato soup that are in the boxes, and I removed all the rings, wiped down the jars. There was quite a few jars that had rust going down the side. Remember, up until this year, I have always stored my jars with the rings and lids on. And I would get things from people and it would just have a lid on. And I would think to myself, why does this person not have a ring on it? Maybe it's because they're expensive and they don't want to give up their rings. They already are giving a lid away because you can only use the lids typically once. I never really thought about it. But as I've been researching more and more, I have discovered that you're not actually supposed to store the rings and the lids. Sorry, you're not supposed to store the product with a ring and a lid on. You're supposed to remove the ring and wipe down the jars, which I never did before. My dad never did that growing up. I was just talking to my mom and I was telling her about this, and she said, well, your dad never does that. Your grandma never did that. And she's right. I did not grow up seeing this as common practice. But the more research that I've done, the more it makes sense. And the more I fight with these jars, the tomato soup especially, the more it makes sense. Because I'm guessing that some of these jars overflowed in the canning process, and the acid from the tomatoes then started to rust the rings, and then the rings get stuck. And I never really thought about it growing up, but my dad was constantly banging a butter knife on the ring to get the ring to release so we could eat what was ever in the jar. And I never thought about it, but it all makes sense now. So my plan was to get the bed cleaned off and then stop so I can go to bed and regroup tomorrow. I have a small area where only maybe 4 jars can fit on that bottom row, unless I double stack those two. I think I only have 4 zucchini pie fillings. So I think I'm going to put those on the bottom there, since I can smell this pie filling. So I'm thinking some of that liquid got on the outside here and was in that ring, because this is sealed. Okay, next I have whole tomatoes. So I think I'm going to put those here. This one's open. You hear that? So this one is bad. He will have to go in my trash pile. Anyways, I tested out my Presto electric pressure canner, because you can also water bath can. And I water bath canned all these tomatoes, and I probably will never water bath can in there again. If you can see here, the tomatoes came out. I've never had that happen before, ever. This jar here, I think I'm going to throw him out. First of all, I don't know what it is. It looks like a tomato product. Either I didn't mark it, or if I was gifted this from my sister, she didn't mark it. But it's really dark. And all the rest of my tomato products are a light red or like a deep red, and this is like a brown red. I'm skeptical, so I think I'm just going to toss it to be safe. All right, I'm trying to finish this box, so if the dogs jump on it while we're at work tomorrow, we don't have a mess. So the next thing I'm going to put in line here with the tomatoes is some enchilada sauce that I made. 2 years ago, we had probably one of the earliest set-in winters since my husband and I moved up here. And I would say 75% of our tomatoes had to be brought in green. And they weren't ripening no matter what I tried. They were just rotting. So instead of sitting there watching my tomatoes rot, I decided I was going to try to make green enchilada sauce by using green tomatoes. All right, let's see. The last thing in my box here on the bed is salsa verde. So another thing that I did with those tomatoes was make salsa verde. All right, and then we'll get the regular salsa. This is one jar that I didn't label, but I know I didn't make salsa for probably about 2 years because I had so much of it. And this salsa jar is labeled 21, so that is what I'm going to label this one as well. I'm going to put that regular salsa there. Can I fit? This is that situation where I don't want to stick it on a shelf by itself, but I also want it to look pretty. So I might put it back and kind of give it its own space behind the salsa verde, and then just mark it clearly as corn salsa. It looks like it was made in 21. I've been trying for the longest time to figure out what my sister had written on this. All right, so let me give you a look at what we're looking at. So the bottom 2 rows is what I have gotten done so far. I'm still debating. I'm going to ask my husband if he thinks it would be safe if we take this box of tomato soup, since it's all boxed up, and stack it on top of this box, or if that's going to be too much weight in one spot. I do not want to break this shelf. It's brand new. It's very nice. So I will ask him that. If he says yes, he thinks so, I might move that up and move the whole tomatoes down to give myself more room there. Tomorrow I will tackle the rest of this. But for tonight, have a good night, everybody. All right, everybody. So it's been a few days since I have been able to get back in here to finish getting the jars put up. So let me finish organizing, getting these jars put up, and then we will go through my entire pantry and I'll show you what I have, and I'll kind of explain to you what more things I'm looking to add. All right, everybody. So I have my pantry organized to the best of my ability at this time. Let me show you what we got. All right, so this is the bottom row. All of these jars up to here are tomato soup. These jars here are tomato or whole tomatoes. And then those jars on the end are zucchini pie filling. My husband did give me the go ahead to stack these as long as they were on the bottom shelf. He thought they would be fine. Here's my next row up. Sorry for the shadows. So this here is enchilada sauce. We have salsa verde here and here. And then we have regular salsa. So these rows here, this row here is my salsa from 2021. That's the last time I canned salsa. And then all of these are my new salsas that I just canned this year. And then we have a small roll of pizza sauce from 2021. And then 4 jars of beef stew that my mother-in-law and I canned in January of this year. All right, our next row is jams, jellies, fruits, and then there's a few pickled items on the end there. So over here, this is all grape jelly. This grape jelly was made in 2022 from grapes that I got from a friend. This here is just a random jar of Christmas jelly that I got from a friend that I've never eaten, so I probably should open that and eat it. This here, my mother-in-law made this year, peach jam. I have 2 jars of caramel apple jam that I got from a farmer's market. And then this row, and then this back here, this is all jalapeno pepper jelly. And that was made in 22 as well. This row here is strawberry rhubarb jam. I made some and my mother-in-law made some this year. This here is pears that I canned. These ones are from 2021 as well, so we gotta use those. And then we also have peaches here in that row that I canned in 21 as well. This row here is some pickled items. I've got 3 jars of pickles from my mother-in-law that she pickled last August, about a year ago. I have a jar of dilly beans from my sister, and then a jar of pickled beets. All right, and then this is our second to the top row. This one is a little more hodgepodge. So first of all, here we have applesauce. Then if we move this jar, all of those jars there are applesauce as well. All of this kind of two-toned colored. So this one jar plus this row here, plus there's a few in the back of this one. That is all rhubarb juice concentrate. We shake this up and we mix it with lemonade and it tastes so refreshing. And then I have 2 jars of rhubarb pulp. So this was the pulp that came off of making this juice because I didn't want to waste that. These 2 rows are rhubarb barbecue sauce. So I have a regular rhubarb barbecue sauce. If you can see, this one's thinner. The recipe said it was more of a Carolina barbecue sauce. And then this one here is a Victorian barbecue sauce. And this recipe came out of my All Blue book. These rows here, these are corn. I still got to label them, but they were just made last month. And then this last row here is my chicken stock that I made last month that I have to label that as well. And I do have some more chicken stock that needs to be brought back here, as well as some strawberries that I canned up a couple years ago that need to come back here. So if we take a step all the way back, this is what my pantry looks like right now. Now, my husband asked me if we should get another shelf, and I said no. But as I take a step back here and look at it, I feel like we should. And the main reason is I'm not done canning yet this year. I still have tomatoes to can. I wanted to make some more strawberry rhubarb jelly, mainly for gifts. I may not do that. I got a lot of jelly, so I may just leave that in the freezer for now. So I do have some more things to can. I want to can spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, and then I just wanted to do some more canning in general. So my hope for my pantry that I'm working on right now is to give myself some stability and self-reliance. My husband and I do a lot of traveling on the weekends. We don't stay home very often. And it would be nice to have pre-made meals on the shelf ready to eat. The reason that I would love to have pre-made meals similar to this beef stew here is that when we come back on a Sunday and we're tired and we still have to unpack our vehicle from going to our lake house or going to our ice fishing cabin, we have a meal that we can just pull off the shelf, heat up, and eat. We are trying very, very hard not to go out to eat, and having meals like this ready for us would help us immensely not to go out to eat, because on late nights when we get home and we still have to unpack everything, it's easy for us to just run through a drive-through on our way home. But if I have Sloppy Joe mix on the shelf, or taco meat on the shelf, or stew, or chicken noodle soup, vegetable soup, whatever it is, I can come here, I can grab a jar, I can heat it up. So, to answer my husband's question, do we need another shelf? I initially told him no, but I am now thinking yes, we might need another shelf. So that is something that we may invest in to give ourselves a little more room so we can expand our pantry. But for now, this is what we got. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something you can take home and implement at your house. If you did like this video, please share it. Please subscribe. Push the thumbs up button. Let your friends and family know how to find my channel. I would greatly appreciate that. While you're waiting for the next video to come out, you can watch some videos that I will link over on the edge here. But until next time, I hope you all have a good day. Goodbye.